Welcome, everyone. Ready to dive into Area 51? This place, man, it's been a magnet for mystery for decades. We're working with a transcript today that digs into everything Area 51, from its start to those wild theories. We're here to cut through all the noise, get to the hard facts, and see why this spot in the Nevada desert has such a hold on us.
It really is amazing how much Area 51 is part of our culture. But behind all those myths and legends, there's a real story. A story of the Cold War and some seriously groundbreaking technology.
Okay, so let's get back to reality for a minute. What can we say for sure about Area 51's history and its purpose?
Well, the confirmed history, it all starts in 1955. That's when the U.S. government sets it up, a top-secret military base. And their main goal, they wanted to develop and test really advanced aircraft, especially the U-2 spy plane. It was all a response to the Cold War heating up.
So Area 51, it was born out of this need to keep tabs on the Soviet Union, like a high-stakes game of aerial hide-and-seek.
Exactly. The U-2, it was designed to fly so high, way above what Soviet radar could pick up. That let the U.S. gather some super important intelligence.
It's crazy to think that this one plane, developed in total secrecy out in the Nevada desert, had such a huge impact on global events. Didn't it even play a role in the Cuban Missile Crisis?
Absolutely, yeah. The U-2, it provided the photographic proof showing that those Soviet missiles were actually in Cuba. That evidence, it basically stopped what could have been a nuclear war.
Talk about pressure. Just imagine being the ones analyzing those images, knowing the whole world could depend on what they saw.
Can you imagine seeing those images for the first time and realizing what was at stake?
And to think, that was only the beginning of what Area 51 contributed to aviation.
Oh yeah, they went on to develop even more advanced aircraft, like the SR-71 Blackbird. This plane, it could hit speeds over Mach 3. That's 3 times the speed of sound. One of the fastest, highest-flying manned aircraft ever made.
Mach 3, I mean, that's just mind-blowing, even by today's standards. What made speeds like that even possible?
It was a marvel of engineering, that SR-71. It used special titanium alloys so it could handle the intense heat from going so fast. And the design, that sleek fuselage, those distinctive chines, they all helped minimize drag so it could reach those incredible speeds.
So it wasn't just raw power. It was cutting-edge materials, science, and aerodynamic design all coming together.
You got it. They really pushed the limits of what people thought was possible with the SR-71.
And of course, we can't forget the F-117 Nighthawk, another game-changer developed at Area 51.
Ah, yes, the Nighthawk, the world's first operational stealth aircraft designed to be pretty much invisible to radar. Those angular shapes and radar-absorbing materials totally changed modern warfare.
So we've got spy planes, supersonic jets, stealth tech, all coming from this one secret base. Feels like we're talking about a spy movie, not real life.
It's no surprise that Area 51 caught everyone's attention. The secrecy, the advanced technology, that remote location, it's a recipe for mystery and intrigue.
Speaking of mystery and intrigue, we can't talk about Area 51 and avoid the big question, are we alone in the universe?
Yeah, that question always comes up. The Roswell incident back in 1947, it really casts a long shadow over Area 51. It's like the starting point for so many alien conspiracy theories.
Let's go back to 1947. Something crashes in Roswell, New Mexico. Initial reports say it's a flying disc, and of course, everyone starts thinking about aliens.
And then the military steps in and changes the story. They say it was just a weather balloon that crashed.
A weather balloon in the middle of the desert. Seems a little convenient, don't you think?
That sudden change in the story, on top of all the secrecy around Area 51, it really fueled the idea that the government was hiding the truth about a crashed alien spaceship.
So the seeds of doubt were planted. But what really made those seeds grow? What turned those whispers about aliens into a full-blown phenomenon?
That would have to be Bob Lazar and his claims in 1989. He said he worked at a secret spot within Area 51, a place called S4, and he claimed to be reverse engineering alien technology there.
Wait, reverse engineering alien tech. Okay, now we're really getting into the unknown. Tell me more about what he claimed.
Lazar's story was really detailed. He talked about alien spacecraft with super advanced propulsion systems, even mentioned Element 115 as a possible fuel source. And he hinted at the government actually interacting with extraterrestrials.
It's a story that really captures your imagination, makes you question everything you thought you knew.
But it's really important to remember that Lazar's claims have been questioned a lot.
Right. Extraordinary claims need extraordinary evidence.
Yeah.
Has anyone been able to verify any of what Lazar said?
Not really. Even though his story was very detailed, there isn't any solid evidence to back it up. There are inconsistencies in his background, and no one else has come forward to confirm what he said. So there are doubts about his story.
So we have this fascinating story, but it's unproven. It shows how the mystery of Area 51 can blur the lines between what's real and what's made up. It makes you wonder about the possibilities.
And that's what makes Area 51 so interesting. It's like a blank canvas, and we project our hopes, our fears, our fascination with the unknown onto it.
It's like where science fiction meets reality. It sparks so much debate and speculation. But what about the stories that go beyond aliens? What other secrets could Area 51 be hiding?
Oh, that's where it gets even more interesting. We'll dig into those lesser-known theories and look at Area 51's impact on our culture when we come back for part 2 of our deep dive.
Back again for more Area 51. Last time, we left off talking about Bob Lazar and his stories about reverse engineering alien tech. It might not be proven, but man, it really makes you think about all the other crazy stories surrounding this place.
It really is fascinating, the number of people who say they have inside knowledge of Area 51. Lazar's is probably the most famous, but there are tons of others claiming they've seen strange stuff or worked on top-secret projects.
So what are they seeing? Are these stories like Lazar's, or are they reporting different kinds of things happening?
A lot of them describe aircraft that can do things way beyond anything we know about, like craft moving insanely fast, making turns that shouldn't be possible, even hovering silently. It's like they're describing technology that breaks the laws of physics.
Sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. Are there any patterns or things that come up again and again in these stories?
One thing you hear a lot is about technologies that seem like pure science fiction. Anti-gravity, cloaking devices, even experiments with time travel. People are skeptical, of course, but it taps into that fascination we all have with the unknown and what technology might be capable of.
It's tempting to just dismiss these stories as fantasy or people letting their imaginations run wild. But is there any point in looking into them? Can we learn anything from these accounts, even if they're not totally believable?
I think it's important to look at them critically but keep an open mind. It's good to be skeptical, but we shouldn't just assume they're making it all up. These stories give us a glimpse into that culture of secrecy around Area 51 and how strongly it affects us.
It's like trying to put together a puzzle, but you only have a few pieces. We get these hints and clues, but we can't see the whole picture.
Exactly. And that's what makes Area 51 so powerful as a symbol. It's like a mirror reflecting our hopes, fears, and all the things we don't know about the universe.
So Area 51, it's more than just a place. It's an idea that represents our deepest fears and desires.
You got it. It represents the possibility of amazing scientific breakthroughs, but also the possibility that those breakthroughs are kept secret and used for things we may never understand.
It's that push and pull between what we know and what we don't that makes Area 51 so captivating. But you mentioned there are theories about Area 51 that aren't just about aliens. What are some of those?
Well, some people believe that Area 51 is where they develop advanced propulsion systems, especially hypersonic technology.
Hypersonic, so we're talking speeds many times faster than sound, right?
Yeah.
What would that kind of technology mean for us?
Imagine flying from New York to London in less than an hour. It would be a total game changer for travel and shipping, both for the military and civilians.
That would revolutionize things. But what about the risks? Couldn't that technology be used for dangerous things too?
Absolutely. In the wrong hands, hypersonic technology could be a serious threat. Being able to launch things at those speeds would give any country a huge military advantage, so the possibility of it being misused is a real concern.
So it could be good or bad, a real double-edged sword. What about those theories about controlling the weather? Is there anything to them?
We need to be careful about the difference between modifying weather and controlling it. Modification is about making small, temporary changes to weather patterns, like seeding clouds to make it rain more or get rid of fog.
So not like creating hurricanes or storms, but still pretty powerful stuff.
Exactly. And weather modification is a real thing. It's being used in a lot of ways already, from dealing with droughts to clearing fog at airports.
But is there any proof that Area 51 is involved in that kind of thing?
There's no hard evidence connecting Area 51 to weather modification programs, but just the idea of it plays into our fears about technology being used to manipulate the environment without us knowing.
It makes you think about the possibility of unseen forces controlling our world. So we have these hints of incredible technology at Area 51, super fast aircraft, maybe weather modification, and it's all hidden from us.
And that secrecy is what keeps people fascinated and keeps those conspiracy theories alive.
It seems like a never-ending cycle. The more the government tries to hide things, the more suspicion and speculation there is.
Which brings us to a big question. Is all this secrecy a good thing? Does it really help us in the end, or does it just make people distrustful and paranoid?
That's a question we need to think about as we continue our deep dive into Area 51. We'll explore it more when we come back for the last part of our investigation. And we're back, wrapping up our deep dive into the mysteries of Area 51. We've covered a lot of ground history, tech, conspiracies, and the deeper we go, the more this place fascinates me.
It's a strange mix, isn't it? Incredible innovation happening, but all this secrecy around it breeds suspicion and distrust. It's a real paradox.
Last time we were discussing the impact of all this secrecy. Is it ultimately good for us, or does it just fuel all those conspiracy theories?
It's a tough question. There's no simple answer. I mean, some level of secrecy is definitely necessary, right? Especially with sensitive national security stuff, cutting-edge military technology. You can't just give your enemies a blueprint for your latest weapons.
I get that, protecting sensitive information. But where do we draw the line? When does secrecy go too far? When does it stop being about national security and start creating distrust and paranoia among the very people the government is supposed to be protecting?
That's the key question. When you have too much secrecy, it can erode public trust. It makes people feel like the government is working in the shadows, making decisions without being accountable or transparent.
Yeah, it's like this little seed of doubt that grows into a whole forest of suspicion. The less transparency there is, the more people fill in the blanks with their own theories, and that often leads to even wilder claims.
Exactly. And that lack of trust, it makes it really hard to have open, honest conversations about important stuff, especially when it comes to these classified programs and how they might be affecting the environment or public health.
It's a balancing act, for sure. How do we balance the need for national security with the public's right to know? How can we make sure the government is being responsible and ethical without revealing all its secrets?
It's a tough challenge, but I think it starts with creating a culture of more transparency and accountability in government agencies. Being more upfront about why things are kept secret, having clear processes for oversight, putting safeguards in place to prevent abuse of classified information. These are all crucial steps.
So it's not about revealing everything, but about being more open about the process and the reasons behind the secrecy. It's about showing that the government is acting in the best interests of its citizens, even when it's operating in secret.
That's it, exactly. It's about rebuilding trust, showing that national security doesn't have to come at the cost of open communication.
This deep dive into Area 51 has been quite a journey. We've gone through history, technology, conspiracy theories, even ethical dilemmas. We've seen how a single place can become a symbol, a way for us to project our hopes and fears about the unknown.
And you know what? After all we've discussed, Area 51 is still an enigma, a place that captures our imagination and makes us wonder. It reminds us that there are still mysteries out there, things we may never fully understand.
Maybe that's part of what makes it so appealing. The unknown draws us in, makes us question, makes us imagine. It's a reminder that there's always more to discover, always something new to learn.
Area 51 really drives home the point that the search for knowledge never ends. Even in this age of information overload, there are still secrets waiting to be uncovered.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Area 51. It's a place that will continue to spark our curiosity and our imaginations for a long time to come. And remember, sometimes the most exciting discoveries aren't about finding the answers, but about asking the right questions.